Right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Future Birmingham podcast, a podcast where we discuss everything Birmingham. Currently, Birmingham is facing local elections. The last few years have seen a massive decline in Birmingham, and we are keen and eager to see what the next batch of councillors have in store for us. This evening, we have a very special individual with us who's joined us. I'm honoured to have him in the studio, Mr. Raja Amin from Balsall Heath, a chap that I've grew up watching, admiring, taking inspiration from, and thankfully he's in the studio today. He's standing as an independent for his particular ward, so I'm delighted to welcome him. Raja Sahab, first of all, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to have you here, really am, honestly.
So am I.
So, for the audience that doesn't know you, the ones that were born after 95, 96, who are you? What's your background, please?
Well, my name is Raja Amin MBE. Received MBE from the Queen. I'm a local chap. Went to the same school as you went to, Percy Sharma, then Mount Pleasant School, and then Joseph Chamberlain, and I also studied at Sandwell College as well. An ordinary guy, just
an ordinary guy. So I had the privilege of going through your history earlier on. Can you just give a brief of your accolades and your background, please?
Well, I worked for I'm a former police officer. I've served as a police officer, and I receive pension from them now. I'm also worked for the railway for many years, and I've been a senior union official for the RMT. I've been a longest serving president for Midland region.
Okay.
In RMT Union, and I'm also a Midlands TUC award winner for best organizer within the union, and my activities have been well received.
You were also responsible for inviting King Charles to Balsall Heath.
Yes, I actually went to his garden party. I was invited by his team to his garden party, and I went to his garden party, and I was admiring some of the plants, and he actually does talk to the plants. And he came, he came along and started talking to me, and he says to me, and he says, I know so much work you've done within the community, and I'd like to visit Balsall Heath. I said, oh, great, that's a good news, without me prompting him. And then when I said to his secretary that we would exchange details, and she said, oh, he says that to everybody. So I was gobsmacked. So when we went to being introduced in a group,
yes,
when he came to the group again, and he said, "Oh, I've already spoken to Raja, and we exchanged some words." And I said to him that I'm visiting Balsall Heath.
Wow.
So I said to his secretary again, and then there was a business in the community which is based. He's a patron or president of business in the community, and those managers were there as well, because I was invited through them, and they said, quickly go and exchange the details, because we've been trying to invite him to Birmingham for the last 10 years, and he hasn't come. Mm-hmm. So he did come. He actually came twice within a year to admire the work, the forum, the street watch, and fantastic. I happen to be the chairman of the forum and a founding member.
So back in the day, there was a huge reform in Balsall Heath in the 90s. I remember it vaguely, because I was a little lad then. Can you touch upon that, please?
Well, we had the issues and problems where other communities face as well. Ours was in particular prostitution and drug dealing, peddling from early hours, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock the next night, selling drugs, sitting on the crates, and they were dealing with it. And we had curb crawlers coming into it. We had girls. A window display, it was classed as a Little Amsterdam, and I just happened to get involved. I was invited to one of the meetings in the local mosque, and I challenged the police officer, and the police officer was a bit alerted that we said we will manage our streets, and he said I cannot allow vigilantes patrolling the streets. Yes. And I said, well, no, we're not vigilantes. We can stand outside our own doors, because I knew how the union worked. I was a newly appointed union official, and I've been through to 2-3 strikes. So I said, we'll strike. I chose Balsall Heath pickets. If you look at the history, it says Balsall Heath Street, Balsall Heath pickets.
Okay.
And then the police came about a year, 2 years later, and they wanted to have the first street watch in the country, which was Balsall Heath Street Watch.
Fantastic.
Which was a sort of a neighborhood watch scheme where people used to observe streets from their window. We were actually on the streets, patrolling the streets and managing the streets.
Okay, so you've got a, mashallah, very impressive history in Balsall Heath, but that was many, many, many years ago. Why should voters believe that you are relevant today?
Well, I believe whenever you apply for a job, they always say, "What's your background? You know, what have you done over the period?" And my sort of accolades or my involvement in the community speaks for itself. You know, and I do. What else can I say? That I've already served the community unofficially.
Yes.
And to be honest, having managed sort of the whole Balsall Heath area with people and not breaking the law is achievement itself.
Absolutely.
And it's not a credit to me, but the credit to the community. And I love to like to acknowledge the people who were involved. My elders who were there, like Chaudhry Barkat, Chaudhry Kramat, Chaudhry Biru,
Yes.
Chacha Vlayat, Uncle Sharif. There were so many credible people, Uncle Ramzan. And then there's youngsters, like Mahboob, Shaukat, a former councillor,
Yes.
Shaukat Ali. He was there, Nazim, Sudia, Magrat. There's so many youngsters who actually participated
Yes.
and made our streets safer, though it might have been
But
seen.
to get people like that together and all sing off the same hymn sheet, it takes a display of leadership. Do you feel that you were the person leading that?
Well, I was chosen. You learn as you go, and I was chosen to lead the community at the time. And I think I'd done a fairly well job because it was well received. It was a national issue. Well, it became an international issue because we were on CNN News and sort of BBC, ITV, Sky, you name it. There wasn't a TV that did not approach us, and we went through that.
So those issues were relevant then. We're now in 2026. The world's moved on, generations have moved on, challenges have changed. So your campaign, is it built on past achievements, or do you have a real plan for the challenges faced by the communities in 2026?
Those were different challenges, but they still exist. You cannot say that you eradicated all those in one go. But now, today, the youngsters are selling or peddling into drugs or taking drugs. Okay. That's a major issue within the community. That's not just Balsall Heath, but every community. Yes. In fact, nationwide. Yes. So, yes, and the people who are working with me or my sort of assistants is a former housing officer from the Birmingham City Council,
yes.
a former police officer who's actually assisting me this. So, and in this campaign, I've already spoken to the service providers, yes. certain providers who actually serve our community, and the lack of responsibility they're taking is unbelievable.
Why do you think that is?
Because there's no check or no balance. There's no sort of a plan to whether this is a genuine or not. And those officers are just keyboard warriors now, sitting at home, and they're not actually visiting the sites.
Maybe out of touch with the reality.
They're no longer. When we started the forum, we had 23 resident groups who met regular, and these service providers
were present to
answer questions. I was a chairman of 2 areas of a police task force.
Okay.
Balsall Heath, Sparkbrook, and then Spark Hill.
Okay.
Wherever I went, I actually motivated my colleagues, my community, to be part of it. Fantastic. And that's I felt that I was doing the right job, and up to now, I think many people appreciate that.
Fantastic. People who are watching on the TikTok live, please double tap and share, and please feel free to ask any questions. We have Mr. Raja Amin MBE in the studio, the independent candidate for Balsall Heath. So someone's asking a question. What did you receive your MBE for?
Well, serving the community. It was a community who nominated me.
Fantastic.
I was invited to Queen's 80th birthday first
Wow.
year.
Okay.
And the following year, I was given MBE by the Queen. So I had 2 bites at the cherry. So,
Fantastic.
I took my wife and my daughters to
And I
the
suppose
palace.
in them days it was a very big thing, wasn't it?
I
It was
think
a huge affair.
I think I was the first one to receive an MBE from some high level,
Fantastic.
especially the Queen. There might have been few, but within locality, I think I was the only one.
So in that era, in the 90s and in the 2000s, you were highly visible. You were doing a lot of stuff. But then you seem to have gone off the radar. Where have you been for the past decade?
It's very difficult to be involved in everything. I do a job which restricted me to be involved in everything. Once I declared, and I don't want to discuss that job because
Yeah.
that job is
Absolutely,
very
absolutely.
secretive in a way. The reason now I can declare and come out openly is because I've declared that with
Yes.
my establishment, and they said as long as you don't use our logo,
Yeah.
we're quite happy that you go along.
Fantastic.
So here I am.
Why didn't you step into politics earlier if you cared so much about this community?
The trouble is that we all believed in supporting Labour, but the Labour recently has this clique. If you're in the circle, you might get there. I don't think any of the Labour candidate is qualified or have the ability or knowledge the amount probably I have at this particular moment, because I challenge any one of them. But you got to be in this clique.
Okay.
And I wasn't in the
Interesting.
clique, and the clique is surrounded by certain. I've been a member for almost 50 years. I affiliated to them. I've been a member. I also contributed financially to the Labour Party. But recently, I applied as well, and I was nowhere to be seen. And then these chaps approached me through Councillor Adris and asked me that if I joined them, and I thought about it for 24 hours. And then I said, what, opportunities knocking on my door, why not?
So just on that point, you're standing as an independent and you're under the banner of the ICA.
Yeah.
Standing as an independent, do you feel you will have the clout or the conviction to actually affect change?
I don't think you need clout. You need knowledge, your ability to negotiate. People say consult. Well, no, I will never consult. I will negotiate.
Okay.
Negotiation is two-way street.
So there's a difference between consulting and negotiating.
Consulting is that you tell me and I listen to it and I walk away. That's what our councils are doing. But negotiating is different.
Yes.
I negotiate. I want it my way. You want it your way. Let's meet in the middle somewhere.
Do you feel that that's what's been lacking?
Well, precisely. The bin strike itself speaks for itself.
And
Why
when we
they're
say-
not negotiating?
When we refer to yes men, do you feel that that's what we're alluding to?
Well, look at the record over the. I don't want to slate anybody, but in particular the quality and of some of our councillors is lacking, or they're not trained to negotiate.
Okay.
And they just listen and walk away. Well, no, negotiate. I always negotiated. I'm a TUC award winner for best organizer within Midlands, and therefore I believe I've got the ability.
Fantastic. So what's your actual understanding of how the council works and what the structure is inside when you're scrutinizing or when you're trying to put ideas forward or you're being blocked? What's your understanding of that whole process?
My understanding of council is that, the service providers should ought to have regular meetings with the residents. Like we had 23 resident groups in Balsall Heath when we started the forum. And then the Balsall Heath changed itself. It became from bad to beautiful. And my slogan is, let's make it beautiful again. The reason I said that is that we did make it beautiful. It was really, really bad.
Yes.
And then we transformed it. Even the royal family wanted to visit the area, in which they did twice. The recent king, he visited the area twice.
Yes.
We had David Cameron visiting the place. We had many, many politicians, prominent people coming into Boston to see what the change is.
Absolutely. So who actually holds the power? The councillors or the officers in the council?
At the moment, I think the service providers, the managers telling them what to do. The councillors haven't got a clue. They haven't got a clue how to negotiate or tell them. They should know that they're the bosses. They should be telling them, but it's the other way around. I think they are getting instructions from the service providers or managers and saying, "Oh, this is what we're going to do," and say, "Yeah, fine, thank you very much." Walking away from it, not taking the responsibility.
Yeah, and there's no accountability, I suppose.
There's no accountability, as I said previously. Accountability and check and balance. There isn't.
So, I mean, I've been raised. I live just on the edge of Balsall Heath, but I use Edward Road 5-6 times a day, every single day. I insure all the businesses on Edward Road. I know the community well. I know the mosque well. What would you say are the 3 core challenges in Balsall Heath, apart from the rubbish and the roads? What are the 3 core challenges in Balsall Heath?
I believe that, especially when you talk about Edward Road and Carlton Park, we have travellers. They come and they have all sorts of rubbish thrown and lay about. And then there are people dumping rubbish as well. You said, rubbish is prime issue at the moment. Yes, on some of the streets, but here our parks are being misused.
Yes.
And then there's youngsters, peddling into drugs. And the police, there's no police officer to be seen.
The police station on Edward Road,
it's closed.
it's closed, isn't it?
Actually, we manage as a community manage CCTV cameras. I was the one who signed the check for those CCTV cameras,
Okay.
and I was the chairman of the CCTV organization,
Okay.
and we didn't know how to monitor it. So we had the police station given to us, and we used our CCTV. When I had to move on because I was doing another job, so I had to move on. I don't know what took place afterwards.
So you helped clean up Balsall Heath back in the day. You ridded it of its prostitution issues and certain issues, but some of them issues are back again now. Why do you think that's happened?
Well, then again, people are not taking their responsibility. The community is not led by the people, probably who can manage that. And I think we need the role models. We need leaders who can manage the situation. At the moment, very little nationally. Never mind Balsall Heath. Nationally, we had that issue.
Okay. So you get elected on the 7th of May. What's your first course of action?
Well, see the service providers to hold them to accountability.
Okay. Accountability in what respect?
Serving the community.
What do you feel's been lacking where they're not being accountable? I mean, what's the biggest problem in Balsall Heath right now? What would you like to change? If you could change straight away, what would you change in Balsall Heath?
Well, environmental issues are most important. Everybody talks about it. And I don't want to dwell on that.
Yeah.
Because, we all understand, we all know that it's there. But I want the officers to visit the site. I want them to come and walk. There's gutters, there's trees, the leaves all over the place on guttering blocked. People are crying. They say, look, these trees are not trimmed. They're not looked after. They're blocking the ground gutters, and they're also the roof gutters as well. And people don't know what to do. I've seen them. I've spoken to them, and they said, can you please do something about it, because nobody visits our place.
But there's obviously a lack of funding, and that's why these.
Well,
these services aren't
Labour
forthcoming.
government just claims that they're out of red, and now they're back into.
But what do you cut and what do you enforce? Like, where do you take the money from to put into such services? Because we know they are broke. Apparently they're out of the bankruptcy now, but only time will tell.
Well, if they're out of it, they should be serving it.
Yeah.
Because if they are just sort of camouflaging it, then there's a problem. If they're saying to us, we are out of bankruptcy now, we're fine. But where is it?
Okay.
What's happened to that fund?
Okay.
Why are these service providers are sitting at home playing with the keyboards for 3-4 days, and they only come out one day to the office? They should be back there behind the counter and asking or listening to people who want services.
Okay.
People don't know. And then they say, oh, go online and do this. Some people illiterate, computer literate. Yeah. So they don't know how to go online. There isn't that facility provided to them. There's no centres for them to go to, and so they can register these issues.
Okay. So Balsall Heath has a thriving business community. That Edward Road patch, right? It's a thriving business community. Any plans to support the businesses, the SMEs?
Well, when we started the Street Watch and the Forum, we got £6 million from European funds.
Okay.
And then that 6 million was matched by £1 for £1 for the community, for the businesses.
Okay.
And what happened to that money? It was the community who bought that money for them, but the businesses took over. It wasn't given to the community; it was given to the businesses. And I like to see the accountability. I like to see where this kind of funding goes. At the moment, I'm an outsider. When I'm insider, I can find out more, but outsiders very restricted. If I knock on your door, you ain't gonna not open the door because you got something to hide. But once the door is open, it's a different thing.
Okay. So we have a rapid fire round.
Yeah.
I know you're very good at these. One word answers, please. Why should people vote for you?
Well, I believe my track record speaks for itself. You know, I've served the community before without any gain, without any sort of a financial gain, and I served it to the best of my ability, and I can do it again, given the chance.
The biggest issue in Balsall Heath right now? One word.
I believe the drugs is the big issue for the youngsters. There's no provision for these kids to go and learn, and there's no role models within our community.
Past legacy or future vision? Which matters the most?
Future vision. Past is history, it's gone. Let's see what tomorrow brings.
Are you 100% ready for this role?
I'm 110% ready for this role.
What's your biggest weakness?
I think my biggest weakness is that, you can't please everybody. You can do a lot, and then still people say that's not enough. I want people to appreciate that, look, you're given a chance, you can do. But sitting outside, you're not going to do anything. And people expect you to, you should have done this, you should have done that. No, given the opportunity, then judge me. Not judge me before, judge me afterwards.
What's the biggest single thing that the current council is getting wrong?
Not listening to the communities.
First thing that you'll do if elected?
I will rearrange that 23 residents group,
Okay.
and have meetings with them regular within my area. In fact, we will grow from 23 to probably 40 resident groups and ask them and what we can do and how we can manage it.
Okay. In one sentence, what changes Balsall Heath if you win?
Well, my presence, because I live there and I'm always there. People still knock on my door thinking that I'm the councillor, but there has been councillors within, and they don't feel comfortable. People knocking on their door, but people knock on my door regular, even though I'm not a councillor.
Your opposition in the ward, fairly strong opposition, been around a long time. What makes you different to them?
Well, my track record speaks for itself. My opposition, they have all sorts of sort of thing going on and doing. To me, they're not the issue. My issue is the community issues.
Okay.
They're not, opposition is not something that I worry about. My issues are what people are telling me.
Okay. And leading up to the election, and I've spoken to the other candidates, would you be open to a live hustings?
I've asked them over and over. Could somebody do a?
I'll make it happen, inshallah.
Yeah, make a open
make
us
it
things.
happen,
I'm quite happy to attend.
Brilliant. So you're standing as an independent under the Independent Candidate Alliance. Why stand under the ICA and not as an independent within its own right?
I think it's always better to have some protection behind you and people behind you. On your own, you probably can change one thing, but you can't change many.
In terms of protection, I mean,
Protection. I think that was the wrong word. Probably a protection, not the protection. I mean backing, so they can back you and go forward.
Okay.
Being on your own and singular, you're not going to achieve most of the things. You only probably achieve one. But if there's a group of you, you can achieve far more.
Okay. There's been rumours, and there's always accusations, but I'd like your take on it, that if he wins as an independent, he's going to jump onto the Labour bandwagon.
I think Labour is far gone behind. They are worst party at the moment than ever think about it. And I have no sort of a feeling toward them anymore because they never thought about us. We don't. And now I'm in a group where these are youngsters who are going forward. My job in future would be to motivate the youngsters to join and do the right thing for the community.
I've had some incredible independent candidates here, honestly, really. And people are sometimes accusing me of favouring with the independents. That's not a fact. The fact is that a lot of independents reach out and they want to come, whereas when they're part of parties, they are sometimes blocked by their parties. Like I've had the Workers' Party blocked. I've had the Reform candidates blocked from coming on, and I don't understand why. Because this is a platform to allow you to express your views and express your thoughts and express your pledges. So, but honestly, independent movement, I've seen some really, really credible candidates. So fair play to them.
Well, I think I'm the most senior member of the alliance.
Yes.
They're all youngsters, and I think they're doing a wonderful job. You know, I could learn some of the things from them. But yes, they need somebody.
What is your thought? I mean, I put out a video yesterday after the list was published, and I spent a couple of hours last night scrutinising that list. 615 candidates for 101 seats.
Well, they must have arranged that. Certainly didn't. I was approached.
Yeah. No, generally in Birmingham, across all the parties.
Well, I can only say that everybody wants to be on the piece of paper. Yeah. I don't think they can serve when they have the knowledge to serve. I was, like I said, I was approached. I never had any vision to do any more. But when I was asked, we believe that you'll make a really good candidate for Balsall Heath, I didn't jump to it. It took me, say, roughly 48 hours, 24 hours to talk to my wife, and then next 24 hours, saying, okay, what is there, and what are we going to do? And my first word to my colleagues was that I don't want to be controversial.
Yeah.
I want to work. Yeah. If you want to make some controversial remarks, whatever, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But I will work, being an independent, I will work the way I've been working before. I will continue to work that way. I have no sort of a view or mind that, I have to be like them. That's why it's called independent. With a Labour or Conservative, they have a whip.
Yeah.
They cannot say without their approval of their leaders.
Yes.
Here, I don't have that restriction.
Yes.
I can say what I want to. I'll do what I want to.
Okay. So tapping into your wisdom now, you've seen politics change for decades and periods of time. How does it feel to see it from where it was over years ago to where it is right now? What's changed?
I think because the representatives we had, or we have diluted their powers. They have not listened to the community, what they need, what they were chosen for, and their bureaucratic system they're following, instead of going back to the community and saying what is their need, or double check what needs to be done within the community.
Slightly out of touch with.
Yeah, no reality.
Yes.
And I think the independence movement is going to bring that reality back.
Okay.
If anybody doesn't, I certainly would be, because I'm there. I'm right in the middle of it. I've been living there since 1968.
Yes. Brilliant. So thank you for attending.
Thank you.
30 seconds, that camera there. Why should people vote for Mr. Raja Amin in the upcoming elections? That camera there.
Well, they should vote for me because I am available 24 hours. You can knock on my door now, and then you can knock on my door when you elected me. I have no problem. People knock on my door in any case.
Brilliant.
I'm available.
Short and sweet. Thank you for coming. Best of luck with your campaign.
Thank you.
We shall be following you very closely. If you win, inshallah, we'll be having you back here on a monthly basis, just to have a catch up as to what's happened, what hasn't happened. And I think that's
It'd be a pleasure.
I think that's a difference this time around, where we are trying to, because generally people win elections, councillors, and then they go missing. That's been the message from the community. We're trying to change that now and kind of try and get them in every month and just see what's going on, and it keeps everybody engaged with the community. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And inshallah, best of luck.
And thank you.
People, stay tuned. You have half an hour. At 8 o'clock, we have the Labour councillor for Hall Green, Simon Suleiman, in. Until then, have a cup of tea, have a pack of biscuits, and thank you to Raja Saab. And catch you all very soon.